Namaste and welcome back. This is going to be our third class, part of our 8-week program helping people who are struggling with symptoms of PTSD. And so today's yoga practice is going to be about focusing your attention and also observing inside, where oftentimes those with PTSD can have very much fragmented kind of thoughts. So hearing, opinions and voices, criticizing or judging in all kinds of types of ways. So our intention for today is to be mindful about what is that inner narrative, and then redirecting the focus away from those thoughts and voices and redirecting the attention back to noticing the breath and also being connected with your body. So moving through the different postures of this little slow flow kind of practice. So we're going to get started, and we're going to be reclining back in recline butterfly to start. So coming down onto your back and drawing the soles of your feet together. And if you find that this is quite intense for the inner thighs, if you're at home, you're welcome to just bring in some pillows underneath the thighs to support this area. And if this doesn't work for you at all, you could feel free to just simply extend your legs long, and you could start in Shavasana. So picking your pose. And of course, just that reminder that at any point during the class, if you need to take a break, please do. If you need to come out of any pose and go back into one of the home base postures, seated, child's pose, or Shavasana, please also do that. So settling in now. You can choose to keep the eyes open, or you might experiment with gently closing the eyes. And just start to take notice of your breath. On purpose, we will draw the attention just to the tip of your nose. So maybe it's for the first time today that you actually become aware of your breath in this way. If you've come to class and you're feeling rather agitated or tense, a little bit angry or frustrated, take this time to settle in, knowing that this is your time, this 45 minutes. And we want to just start to send breath to any area that feels fiery or feels irritable. And just see on the exhale, can you imagine some of that is released out of the body? So breathing in and breathing out. Option always to have the palms turned down if that feels a bit more secure. At this point, if you do hear lots of noise in your head, lots of commentary and judgments, the idea is to not engage back, but to simply shift your attention back to what's here and now. So noticing that breath. Let's take 3 together. Breathe in. Breathe out. Inhale. Exhale. Biggest breath. Fill up your lungs. Be sipping a little more. And then open your mouth, breathe out. Okay. So you might like to reach down and slowly help those legs come back together. And just bring the knees into the chest. Maybe give a little rock back and forth. And we're going to make our way up to seated. So your choice, you can roll up or you can simply roll to one side and then press yourself up. So we're coming into a seated position, one of our home base poses. I have my left foot out in front here. And you might like just to pull out any extra flesh behind you. You want to get connected to the ground with your seating bones. And then we'll sit nice and tall. So just a gentle lengthening through your spine. Maybe let the shoulders just roll down and away from your ears. We'll take a little forward fold. So bringing hands to heart center and then reaching up nice and tall. Inhale. And then we're going to start to hinge forward. So just walking the hands out and shifting the hips back slightly. If you do have pillows or maybe a block at home, you could bring it out in front for some support. We want to be feeling sensation now in the left hip. I'm going to turn my block so I can rest my forehead on it for a little support here. And so coming into our second pose, each has its own life cycle. So here we have the beginning of this one. So we start to just get curious, just noticing, okay, what's my body telling me in this shape? What do I feel? Always noticing the breath as much as possible. So we don't want to be in any kind of pain when we practice yoga. We want to build a relationship with our body so we can notice the various sensations that come up, but we don't want to force anything or charge into a posture thinking that it has to look a certain way. It's individual, so what is showing up for you? So your pose may look different, right? If you're in a cross-legged position and you feel a stretch here, that's it, you've made it. That's all we need. So your pose may just look something like this. The search will continue, right? If you need to look for a little bit more sensation, you simply would go a little bit deeper. Let's take a breath. Breathe it out. Inhale, we start to press through the hands and arms, coming up. And then we'll switch sides. So now the right shin is out in front. And just notice, right, that in itself, we could feel a little bit differently. So again, as we are practicing, we are cultivating curiosity. Okay, we've changed our legs. Now what do I notice over here? Maybe it does feel a little bit different. So same idea, we always want to cultivate some length before we take a forward fold. So you're just breathing in. Maybe you choose to reach the hands up and then gently hinge forward. Hands come down. And I try to lean with the chest. So my spine is fairly straight at first. And again, just check in with that right hip. What's there? If you're starting to feel like some tension, as if the muscles are lengthening, that's good. That's what we're looking for. If you're here and you say, yikes, like it feels like a 10 out of 10, okay, we'll just notice that. And if that's the case, you would simply ease off. So the level of intensity comes down a notch or two. Let's breathe here for about a minute, and that's 10 breaths. Five breaths to go. And if your mind is loud, focus deeply on the next 5 breaths. Last breath in. Breathe it out. Inhale to rise up. Pressing through arms and hands. And then we're going to come into another forward fold. This time we're going to open the legs nice and wide. So shift your hips back, and then we open the legs up, making a nice wide V shape. And we want to have the ankles still on the mat for support. And importantly too, again, just pulling out any extra flesh behind you there, and you'll notice that'll help the pelvis tilt forward a little bit. So the idea is to have a nice stretch through the insides of the legs. Sometimes you feel it under the knees as well. And for you, if you pull in the belly a little bit here, and that helps to lengthen. If you feel a lot of sensation, this is your variation. If you're looking for a little bit more, same practice, in that we take a breath, grow tall, and then folding forward. Imagine you can kind of press your hips behind you. And again, you're searching with the heart. So shining the heart forward. And then you could maybe relax the upper body forward and down. Not in this one for too long. If you find you still have that kind of fiery, pissed off at the world feeling angry, you could take your fists, ball them up, squeeze tightly, take a breath in, and then breathe out, let them go limp. You could try that again, squeeze and breathe. Let it go. Just notice the difference. As part of PTSD, you might find that you feel irritable a lot of the time, and that's part of the experience. Part of you is stuck in that fight mode, and there can be aggression, irritability, and short-temperedness that goes along with it. So our job in the healing process is to get curious toward that part of yourself. And what message is it trying to tell you? Oftentimes with fight parts, it's trying to tell you that a boundary of yours has been crossed, or you feel there's been some kind of injustice. And of course, a part of you is upset about that. And it can manifest in a physical way. We feel, right? In that fight way, something's not right. But in the here and now, we become aware, right? We're in yoga. And in this moment, everything seems to be okay. So if you still feel it physically in your body, we can address it with adding even more energy. So again, you might ball up those fists, squeeze the arms, maybe curl the toes, maybe make a face, breathe in deep, and then let it all go. Just notice the change. Inhale, we're going to come up. Let's move into child's pose. Gently bring the legs back in. Bring the toes to touch. I'm choosing to have my knees wide here, and just walk the arms forward, melting the chest and forehead to the ground. Little tuck of the chin. So we can practice grounding. So just notice the palms of the hands and your fingertips. Inhale. Exhale. 3 just like that. Breathing in. Breathe it out. On your next inhale, we're going to come up, finding tabletop pose. So start with foundation here. So spread those fingers nice and wide. We do this on purpose. So we are aware, okay, there are my hands, and I have groundedness. The shoulder is right on top of the wrist, and same the knees on top of the hips. Maybe you take a little movement here. You can draw circles with the hips. Couple cat-cow, breathe in, drop your belly, lift the tail and your gaze. Exhale, curl it in chin to chest. Pull your belly button up to your spine. Inhale, drop and breathe, look up. Exhale, we curl. One more, breathe in. Shine that heart forward, squeeze shoulder blades. Exhale, curling around. Neutral table. Let's take a low lunge. So we're going to step the left leg forward. And the idea here is to make this as long as you can. So I'm going to walk my back leg out even further. And we want to have a good 90-degree bend in the knee. So just adjust so that you can have the ankle under your knee. I'm going to take both hands to the inside of that foot. Again, you can always add a little elevation here with using a block or even a book at home. You want to have support so you can start to really drop the hips forward and down. And then imagine you can get long from that back toe all the way up through the crown of your head. And again, feel free, you could really add elevation here. It feels really nice. Imagine you drop that right hip bone down toward the floor. You should feel a really nice stretch through the hip flexor. This is a great pose to practice if you do a lot of sitting. It does the opposite for you. Take 3 breaths together. Inhale deep. Exhale. Inhale. Breathe it out. Big breath in. Let it go. Remind yourself, where are you now? Remind all parts of you that you're here. You're on your yoga mat. You're taking care of yourself. You're stretching your body. So from here, we're going to transition into half splits. So you just simply start to straighten the front leg. Again, you could use a block here to elevate the arm. You're going to flex the front toes. And if you don't have a block, that's okay. You could also flex the back toes here. The idea is that we're just trying to stretch the back side of that left leg. I'm pulling my belly button in here. Imagine I shift my hips back, and then I really get that stretch underneath the knee. Trying to keep somewhat of a flat back. So instead of looking like this, all curled in, just imagine you can lengthen out your spine. And again, imagine it's leading with that heart. Shine your heart forward. Take 3 breaths. Big inhale. And then on the exhale, let's shift forward. Find tabletop. Couple cat-cow. Let's try that out on the other side. So stepping the right foot forward, both hands to the inside of the right foot, bringing in a little elevation if you have it, and then really lengthen it out. So extend through that back leg, making sure again that we have a 90-degree bend in the front leg. And then drop the hips forward and down. Point this left hip bone toward the floor, and you should really feel a long stretch right through this section of your body. So again, you're here to build a relationship with your body in the here and now. So if your body is saying, yikes, this is a lot, well, how could we modify, right? You might just kind of ease off a little bit. You might add more elevation through the upper body. And as always, we're here to tolerate sensation. Sensation is not dangerous. Sensation can be a bit uncomfortable, but that's what we're here to build some space around. If there's acute pain, that's when you know you need to come out. Maybe try a different pose, come back to child's pose. Take 3 breaths. Big inhale. Long exhale. Now let's transition into our half splits. So shift those hips back, start to straighten the front leg, flexing the toes. And again, the idea is to shift the hip back. Maybe you curl back toes under. And then imagine you pull that belly in and up toward the spine. And again, we don't want to be really rounded. We want to find length through the spine. So shine that heart to the front of the mat. Big inhale. Long exhale. And we'll shift forward. Bring that leg back, tabletop. Now let's take down dog. So hands walk out maybe 2 inches or so. Planting through index finger and thumb. Curl the toes under. And then when you're ready, lift those hips up and back. So press, press, press through the arms. Arms are straight. Drop that head low. Give it a shake maybe. Knees can be a little bent, no problem. Maybe you choose to pedal out the legs. Straightening and bending one and then the other. Imagine you can pull the hips up and then melt the chest toward your thighs. Heels are moving toward the floor. Let's take ragdoll. So walk your feet up halfway, widen your stance, and then we just let the upper body hang forward here. Certainly bend through the knees if it feels good. You could add support by placing the arms on top of the thighs. Or if you choose to go into it all the way, you could grab opposite hand elbow, maybe sway a little from side to side. Check in. Where's your mind? Again, choose to shift the focus back to notice your feet. Notice this next breath. And that'll help to take some of the power away from the other voices or thoughts in your head. Big breath in. Breathe it out. Release the arms. And then we're going to roll up to standing. So slowly press through those feet. One vertebrae at a time, rolling up. Maybe roll the shoulders back and down. And step to the front of the mat. We're going to take a rotation through a sun salutation A, which we have already some experience with. So grounding through those feet. Activate the legs. Inhale, reach up to the sky. Breathe in. And then we'll fold forward all the way down. Inhale, find a halfway lift, flat back. Pause here. So gaze is down at the floor, pressing the legs to the back of the mat. Again, pulling that belly up for a little stability. Inhale. Plant the hands and step back. Either find tabletop or take a plank pose. Plank just adds a little bit more fire. So again, if you've got fire inside and part of you is pissed, channel it, use it in this plank pose. Squeeze those leg muscles together. Press the heels behind you. Inhale deeply. And then we lower to the floor. Maybe drop the knees all the way down. Hands under shoulders, cobra. Breathe in, lift chin and chest. Exhale through table, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Breathe out. Inhale, come on up to your tippy toes. Exhale, bend, look forward, and then walk to the front. Halfway lift, we breathe in. Breathe it out. Press down, rise up nice and tall. And then hands to your heart center. You're going to turn, so you now are facing the long edge of your mat. We're going to come into another little bit of a sequence we call a moon salutation. So breathing in, reach up tall. And then you're going to grab a hold of the right wrist and then just gently tilt to the left. I call this crescent moon. Inhale, center, switch, lean to the right. 2 more times, breathe in. Center, reach. And we'll take a goddess squat from here. So the toes are going to be facing out, nice wide stance. And then we start to just sink the hips down. Hands can be on top of the thighs as one option. So we don't want to really, really lean forward. Imagine you can kind of tuck the tailbone under and keep your body upright. That makes you use your leg muscles a little more. So again, if you have that fight part in you, extra energy and heat, this is where we're going to use it, right here in our goddess squat. Hands can come to the hips or maybe cactus them at 90 degrees. My legs are shaking, maybe yours are too. That's okay. Use that energy. Breathe deep. Breathe out. Inhale, press and lift, stretch tall. Exhale, sink. Inhale, reach, squeeze. Exhale, sink. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more, reach it up. And then float those fingertips down. Coming into pyramid pose, you're going to turn that back foot so that it's parallel with the short edge of your mat. And then you're going to turn the front toes to face the short edge of the mat. Maybe step that foot in a little bit. So this is a pose where we have our hips facing square to the front. We're going to be folding over the front leg. So when you're ready, breathe in, lengthen, and then we're simply going to fold forward over that front leg. Let the head be heavy. Feel your feet. Remind again, where are you? Here we are, yoga class. Feel the feet. Consciously shift your awareness to being here, not engaging with the voices or the thoughts. Big breath in. Let it go. And then we're going to slowly, plant the hands, come into tabletop, find downward dog. Let the head go. Let's inhale, tippy toes. Bend and look to the front. Step your way there. Halfway lift, flat back. Breathe out, forward fold. Press through those feet, come on up, reach tall. Hands to heart center. And then again, we'll turn so that we're facing the long edge of the mat. Little crescent moon. And then we'll lean to the left. Inhale, switch, lean to the right. Two more. Back to center, float those fingertips down, goddess squat, center of your mat. Big, big pose here, strength pose. Squat down, hands can stay right here the whole time, no problem. Otherwise, again, we want to tuck that tailbone, lift through the upper body. These muscles are working. Hands can come to heart center maybe, and then we'll take a couple breaths. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, squat. You're strong. You're in control of your own body. One more, reach up. Beautiful. Straighten the legs. Pyramid pose, other side. So to set it up, I'm going to have a heel to heel alignment. Back foot's at a 45. Front toes are facing the front of the mat. And then we square the hips, breathe, and fold forward. Hands could come to the floor. If they don't hit the floor, maybe you have a block, or simply just help yourself by resting on the shin. Let the head be heavy, and breathe. Feel your heart beating. You're here, you're alive, you're taking care of yourself. Last breath in. Breathe it out. Plant those hands. Step the right foot back. Table. And then we'll come into take a child's pose. Again, I'm choosing to have the legs wide here. They could be closer together. Forehead comes down. Option is to also just release the arms by bringing the hands back behind your feet. Drawing the attention to the tip of your nose. Feel your forehead, your third eye, connected to the earth, grounded. Help all of those parts inside know that you're here on your mat. If the hands are out behind you, bring them forward. Press yourself up. And let's recline back. Let's try another recline butterfly and just see how it feels differently this time. So again, allow the legs to fall open. I'm aware that this is quite a vulnerable position to put yourself in. So maybe if it feels uncomfortable for you for being so open, you could opt to have a blanket placed over you if that makes any difference in making you feel more secure. Alternatively, you could do one leg at a time in reclined tree, which may make it a little bit more accessible. Let's take 5 breaths. I'm gonna take the hands up overhead to bring in a little chest opener. Sense the rise and fall of your belly. Let the arms be heavy. Let the arms come back down by your sides. Help those legs back together. Then we're going to take a reclined pigeon pose, also called figure 4. So from here, you're just going to cross the right ankle on top of the left thigh. And the idea is opening through the right hip, the outside. So we'll flex through the right foot, and that helps to protect the knee. And then you can imagine you just press that right knee away from your body. And if you feel sensation already over here, then this is your pose. Then you choose to stay. If you are looking for a bit more, you are welcome to draw the left knee in. I like to interlace my fingers on top of the leg as a little assist. So we're here to explore again and be curious. What happens now that we're in this posture? The beginning of this one. It can feel nice sometimes to gently rock slowly from side to side to really, really stretch out that right glute and right hip. Again, our intention is to be as fully aware as possible here on our mats. So again, if part of your brain is away thinking of something else, your job as the one in charge is to be aware and notice. Okay, part of my brain is thinking about 20 years ago right now. Part of my brain is thinking about 50 years in the future. And your job is to encourage that awareness back to being just here in our figure 4. Take your next breath. It's actually safe enough to be right here, right now. Everything else can wait. Let's take 5 breaths. And we'll release. Both feet come to the floor. You might take a little windshield wiper motion here, just dropping both knees to one side and then the other. Well, let's try that out on the other side. And we know as we go from one side of the body to the other, be mindful that each side can feel quite differently, and that's okay. It doesn't even necessarily need to be corrected, but we just need to be aware of it. So taking your variation of reclined pigeon, recenter your focus, maybe notice the tip of your nose as you breathe. Feel free to explore a little gentle movement and see how that changes the sensations. No rushing. There's no finish line, no deadline. If you're in figure 4 and you feel sensation in your left hip, that's it, you've done it. That's all you need to do. Now just breathe. Five breaths. Last one in. Last one out. Let's gently release that. And again, maybe a little windshield wiper. And then we're going to come into our supine twist. So open up the arms now. And you're going to shift your hips to the right, then let both knees fall to the left. Being mindful that we're just twisting from our belly button down, so that right shoulder and arm is on the floor here. You could take your gaze in the opposite direction of your knees. And let's bring those knees back up. Center your hips, and then we'll go over to the other side. So hips go to the left this time, knees, they fall to the right. As you can see, when I first roll over, my left shoulder comes way up off the ground. So then I'm just mindful and I try my best to maybe soften the knees a bit and gently draw that shoulder back to the floor. Breathing all the way down into the low belly. And let's bring those knees up once more. Center your hips. Let's draw the knees in toward your chest. We call this the hug of gratitude. Maybe you lift your chin up, give yourself a nice squeeze, giving thanks for our bodies and what they can do for us, allowing us to move around the world and practice in this way. And let's find Shavasana. And at home, if you have a blanket, I usually have a blanket, I encourage you to get cozy, cover up, or add any extra layers, socks, or a sweater. Choose your Shavasana. You could have one hand over your heart, one on your belly. You could have the palms facing down, or maybe turn the palms to face up. So a moment of stillness to integrate all that we just did. Your only job is to let the breath be natural, trying to let the body just be held here by the floor. Maybe making the limbs a little heavier. Soften the space between your eyebrows. Soften your forehead, the muscles around your eyes. Your cheeks, the lips, and the jaw. Just breathe. And from here, we can slowly start to deepen the breath. And maybe bringing a little energy back in, so moving toes and fingers. And you may take your head from side to side. You're invited to bend your legs, plant your feet, take a little stretch. And then we'll roll onto one side. Just take a pause here. And just sensing one thing today you can feel grateful for. And if that thing happens to be a person or a being, like your dog, send that being your love and gratitude. And then press through your arm and slowly we'll lift up, coming into seated, whatever way is most comfortable for you. Sitting with a nice tall spine. If you wish, you can bring your hands to your heart. And then I invite you to help me close our practice with one chant of Om. So take a deep breath in. Breathe out. Bigger breath in. And Namaste. meaning the light in me sees and honors the light in you. So hoping that you enjoyed our practice today as part of the third session in our group program. And my name is Cheryl again. I'm one of the psychologists that are running the program and also the yoga teacher that is teaching the classes. Feel free to leave a comment below if you like this class, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.